Again, it's me. Um, Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. And today's energies are interesting because they're bringing to mind a recent client session. So I'm going to speak into that as I show you what these cards are. So the first one. Cat. So 13 is a divinely feminine number. So we'll call this a shishi cat. And it's speaking into the independence of a cat. And I actually, the cat that doesn't really care. It'll come for strokes and cuddles. And food, and it enjoys the strokes and the cuddles and food. But don't be conned into believing that the cat needs you in any way. So this message is about claiming your independence. What does that mean? Well, the gist of this recent client session is how to be poorly. Okay, how to be poorly. So one of my clients is feeling poorly, and the catalyst of the poorly is actually creating this big reveal of of how the client actually doesn't get poorly. And it, for me, begs a bigger question of how do we get poorly? So when we're poorly, do we look poorly? Do we behave poorly? Do we tell people we're poorly? Do we ask for support? Do we sign ourselves off and then be poorly? Or do we sign ourselves off and carry on? Maybe working a bit from home, maybe doing the pots, maybe doing a bit of washing, maybe caring for others. Do we do all of that? Or do we be poorly? Do we take care of ourselves as if we would one of our kids? So what's emerging is actually the client is concerned for those around her and how her being missing in the system might make them feel. Okay. And for me, it makes me wonder how we are programmed when we need to hit the deck for a little bit and look at where our resources are going. Who are we taking care of when actually it's us that needs taking care of? So how do we claim our independence in that? Well, in this story, that might look something like, I'm going to tell everybody that the worst time of the day for me while I handle this poorly is between these hours. And between these hours, don't come near me, independent cat. Don't come near me because I need to do this, this and this, and that might involve that, that and that. And I'm giving myself permission to be that in the spaces where I can, to pull back my resource from you and to give myself everything that I need to get me through this. So there is a certain independence in that. Okay. And in that space, I will learn to sing my own song about how I really feel, about what my concerns are regarding those around me, about how guilty I feel because I'm letting the side down, about how useless I feel because I can't hold myself in this. Wow, there's so much narrative coming in that we've all heard 1,000 times about, well, about not letting the side down, basically, about soldiering on. There's that word fortitude again, soldiering on, being a big brave soldier. Well, sometimes when we're sick, we need to be sick, and we need to own it, and we need to be independent in that. And this for me asks a bigger question of, how do I receive? So if it was a little one, if it was your little one, you would probably absolutely have them. Nope, you, off to bed, you're poorly. I'll feed you when you need to be fed. And the kid will receive. Kid will lap that up. The cat will lap that up. Do we do that for ourselves? If we're not doing that for ourselves, where's our self-love? And again, it comes back to what I always say about, I am the primary relationship in my world. All other relationships are secondary to me because I'm the architect. I created this world that I see, that I live in, through my own values and beliefs and perceptions. So if I, in that world, don't feel that I'm good enough to be sick, to absent myself from a system that needs me, from a system that feeds me and gives me big strokes for being busy and important and purposeful and useful and valuable and supportive and kind and that. If I can't absent myself from that because I need to be independently poorly, what does that say about my value system, and what does that say about the people I attract? Okay, so big picture, we're talking about codependency. If I feel guilty because I'm poorly and I'm letting you down, there's codependency. Okay. So I'm just using the poorly thing as one analogy for what it looks like when we claim back our independence, when we claim back and give ourselves permission to be something the system might not want to see. No, correction, to be something we might not want to project in the world. Okay, because in the instance of being poorly, it's just something that looks a bit untidy, a bit messy. We don't really like messy in the system. We like it tidy. Why? Because everything's a reflection of self. So if others are looking at me and I am a disheveled mess with 4 days pots in the sink, they might have some kind of feeling about that. But if I'm standing in my own independence and singing my own song of poorly, without being, self-pitying, there's none of that in it. There's no room for self-pitying energy when I'm in my independence. I'm just being poorly on my own terms and I look a freaking mess. Deal with it. That's independence. That's self-love. I look a freaking mess. Deal with it. Okay. So when we reprogram that part of the programming that's in the structure that stops us from being genuinely poorly and allowing others to come in and love us and to feel worthy of that love, we change into a bat. We don't. We rebirth. Okay. We rebirth. There's 5. Number 5 is the number of change. It's change. "13, divinely feminine. And also a 13 can hold the conflict of opposites. I want to be poorly, but I'm letting you down. bugger it, I'm going to sing my own song and I'm going to create rebirth, not only for me, but for that which is observing me. Okay. Because once you give yourself permission, you give others permission. When others witness you being genuinely poorly and owning it like a boss, they'll think, when did I last do that? When did I last spoil myself, love myself, treat myself with no conditions and no boundaries? Just unconditional love while I get better. So, yeah. So this client is going to grant themselves a permission slip to recontract with those around to be poorly, because this time of the day is the worst, to be poorly. And when they stepped, and I asked them to paint me a picture of what's that going to look like, what's that going to feel like, the word was space. They felt the space of having room to breathe, just to be genuinely and honestly in that space, to meet what is in the field, which is poorly, not to dress it up and make it tidy and clean it up, just to be in that space, honestly. Create the container for it by reboundarying, recontracting with others to say, yeah, this is a phase where I'm going to be managing a little bit of poorly. Rebirth is assured, absolutely. Because what comes after that is if I can give myself permission to be that thing, to love myself enough to be man down and to be held in that and to be worthy of that. That's a game changer. That's a game changer. So yeah, claim your independence. And if you want to strap a pair of wings to your back and put a medallion on your head and others don't like it, well, deal with it. I love it. I'm singing my own song. It's a little bit out of tune. It might be a bit dissonant. Deal with it. Because I'm creating change. Okay. I love these cards. Okay, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for the likes and shares and subscribes. It's good to be here. Take care. I'll see you soon.